Good morning and a very warm welcome. You are watching JanataTelevision and this is English Bulletin with me, Bhadra. The top stories first. NCP nominates Bhadra as Upper House member. Incumbent Finance Minister likely to be sacked. Chariot procession in Lalitpur turns violent. District administration clamps curfew from today. CCMC directs government authorities to ease restriction, tells district administration officers to facilitate day-to-day activities. Donald Trump suggests residents of North Carolina to vote twice, causes uproar for promoting an illegal act. And two-time Grand Slam champion Muguruza knocked out of the US Open. Christia fights back to beat Konta at Flushing Meadows. And now, the news in detail. Speculation is rife about Nepal Communist Party Vice President Bamdev Gautam joining the government soon. Gautam's nomination to the National Assembly has been almost confirmed after the party decided yesterday to recommend his name as Member of Parliament. However, it is still not clear whether he will join the government or not. Gautam has been showing interest to become the Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister in the present government. Gautam had also requested Prime Minister KP Oli to make him a minister after nominating him as an MP first. However, Prime Minister Oli is not keen to induct him as Cabinet Minister. After Oli's plan to give continuity to the incumbent Finance Minister Yuvraj Khatiora failed, Gautam is now making preparations to appoint NCP General Secretary Bishnu Paudal as the new Finance Minister. However, given his strong influence within the party, Bamdev Gautam is likely to get a ministerial portfolio. District Administration Office Lalitpur has announced curfew inside the Ring Road area effective today, following clashes between the police and protesters yesterday. The locals of Lalitpur had clashed with the police yesterday during the chariot procession of the Rato Machindranath, the god of rain and good harvest. Police cracked down on the procession, which was organized by the locals, defying the ban imposed by the administration to fight the coronavirus pandemic. The locals started pelting stones at the police after they were told not to organize the procession, which has been held since generations. The agitating locals vandalized a police motorcycle while a video in which a traffic police personnel was mercilessly beaten by the locals has gone viral on social media. Police resorted to firing tear gas shells and water cannon to bring the situation under control. Meanwhile, the district administration has clamped curfew in the area from 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. starting from today until further notice. A prohibitory order is in place in Lalitpur as well as other two districts within the Kathmandu Valley since the last 2 weeks after a surge in COVID-19 cases. In this context, the authorities had banned yesterday's chariot procession. Meanwhile, Mayor of Lalitpur, Chiri Babu Maharjan, said he did not have any knowledge about the chariot procession. Meanwhile, the death toll from coronavirus has reached 257 in the country, following the confirmation of 6 more fatalities yesterday. According to the Health Ministry, the victims were from Chitwan, Bhaktapur, Tanahu, Sindhupalchok and Rupandehi. Spokesperson at the ministry, Dr. Jageshwar Gautam, informed during a regular press meet yesterday that Rupandehi reported 2 deaths while coronavirus claimed the lives of 1 victim each in the other districts. Meanwhile, the government confirmed 1,228 new cases of coronavirus in the country. Among the new cases, 445 were reported in the 3 districts of Kathmandu Valley. 357 new cases were registered in Kathmandu, followed by 46 in Lalitpur and 42 in Bhaktapur. With this, the total number of COVID-19 cases in the country has climbed to 42,877. According to the ministry, a total of 24,207 people have been discharged from the hospitals across the country so far after complete recovery from the disease. As of today, there are 18,413 active cases of coronavirus in the country. This is Janata Bulletin. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back after the break. We continue with other national news. A high-level coordination committee meeting of the COVID-19 Crisis Management Centre has directed the district administration officers to facilitate day-to-day activities in districts where prohibitory order is in force. Concluding that the prohibitory order and the extended lockdown have adversely affected country's economy, the committee meeting held at Singadarbar yesterday directed the DAOs to resolve the difficulties faced by common public where prohibitory order is in force. According to Mahendra Prasad Guragai, Secretary at the Office of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers, the concerned DAOs will now require to take a decision to ease daily activities after adopting certain safety protocols to mitigate the impacts of a long-term prohibitory order. Similarly, the meeting has discussed on elevating the effectiveness of ambulance service. The meeting has also decided to add ICU beds and ventilators across hospitals set up for specialized treatment of COVID-19 patients. Likewise, airline companies will also be strictly directed to check if passengers, both with and without PCR test reports, are returning to Nepal from abroad. The responsibility has been assigned to Ministry of Culture, Tourism and Civil Aviation.
भेन्टिलेटर बैंकको प्रस्ताव गरेको थियो उहाँले बैंकमा केही भेन्टिलेटर राख्नु भएको छ विदेशबाट तेस्रो मुलुकबाट हवाई उडानबाट आउने व्यक्तिहरुमा यो पीसीआर गर्ने र नगर्ने मिसिएर आएर यहाँ समस्या उत्पन्न भएको हुनाले संस्कृति पर्यटन मन्त्रालयले सबै एयरलाइन्सहरुलाई स्ट्रिक्टली त्यो निर्णयलाई पालना गर्न निर्देशन गर्ने भन्ने निर्णय गरिएको छ।
Similarly, the celebration of different festivals, fests and rituals will also be carried out as per the standards fixed by respective DAO, Guragai added. The death toll from landslide and flood in Pujikola of Torpatan municipality in Baglung district has reached 13. More than 36 persons are missing in the floods and landslide that hit ward number 5 to 9 in Torpatan on Wednesday night. According to the police, the flood also swept away a jeep, 2 small hydropower stations, 1 suspension bridge and 2 school buildings. The massive flood also swept away 15 houses in Lakuribot, 5 houses in Dune Padhera, 8 in Kattobato and 2 in Supang. Security forces and the locals are currently involved in search and rescue operation. And now the news from economic front. Airlines Operators Association of Nepal AOAN has lashed out at the government for the delay and confusion in resuming of domestic flights. Despite their assurance to the government that all safety protocols will be taken to contain the spread of the infection upon resuming domestic air service, the government has turned a blind eye in addressing the issue, AOAN informed. Rameshwar Thapa, chairman of AOAN, accused the government of delaying the domestic flights in such a crucial time. The airline companies are prepared and have adhered to international safety standards for flights during the crisis, but the Ministry of Culture, Tourism and Civil Aviation has failed to coordinate with them to resume domestic flights, Chairman Thapa added. If the government yet again fails to resume the domestic flights by 17th of September this month, tourism entrepreneurs will shut all service and go on a protest, Chairman Thapa warned. Although the monetary policy of the central bank has framed constructive policies, the government hasn't decided yet if the airline service falls under the category of transportation or tourism industry, Thapa added. Time for a short break here at Janata Bulletin. Stay tuned for international and sports news. Welcome back, and now the international news. US President Donald Trump caused a massive uproar by urging residents of North Carolina to try to vote twice in the November 3rd election. According to Reuters, Trump urged the voters in the critical political background to vote once by mail and once in person. Trump has repeatedly asserted without evidence that mail-in voting would increase fraud and disrupt the November election. However, experts say voter fraud of any kind is extremely rare in the United States. Voting more than once in an election is illegal, and in some states, including North Carolina, it is a felony not only to vote more than once, but also to induce another to do so. Ballots are due to be mailed in North Carolina on Friday. The state's Attorney General Josh Stein, a Democrat, wrote on Twitter that Trump, a Republican, had outrageously encouraged North Carolinians to break the law in order to help him sow chaos in our election. Trump's campaign and the White House later denied that he meant to tell people to vote twice. But in a series of tweets on Thursday morning, Trump again urged his supporters to vote early by mail and then follow up by attempting to vote in person. More than 40 crew members were missing after a ship carrying cattle from New Zealand to China capsized in stormy weather in the East China Sea. According to Reuters, a lone crew member from the Gulf Livestock One had been rescued so far. 3 vessels, 4 airplanes and 2 divers were taking part in the search, Reuters reported, citing the Japanese Coast Guard Sereno Idvaro. A 45-year-old chief officer from the Philippines was rescued on Wednesday night. Japan's Coast Guard said, according to the survivor, the ship lost an engine before it was hit by a wave and capsized. You're watching Janata Bulletin, and now the latest from the world of sports. Britain's Joanna Konta was knocked out of the US Open in 3 sets by Sorana Cristea. According to BBC, 9th seed Konta was leading the game, but the Romanian world number 77 fought back to win 2-6, 7-6, 6-4 at the Flushing Meadows. Cristea, 30, will next play Czech 20th seed Karolina Mishova. 2-time Grand Slam champion Garbine Muguruza has been knocked off the US Open, losing in straight sets to Stevana Prinkova. The Spanish 10th seed, who reached this year's Australian Open final, lost 7-5, 6-3. Prinkova, 32, is playing her first tournament since Wimbledon 2017, after which she gave birth to her first child. The Bulgarian will play Croatia's 18th seed Donna Veik next in New York. Elsewhere, Australian Open champion Sophia Kenin beat Canada's Lila Fernandez 6-4, 6-3. American 2017 champion Sloane Stephens, seeded 26th this year, cruised into the 3rd round, where she will meet either Serena Williams or Margarita Gasperin. 7th seed Madison Keys will play France Alice Cornet after defeating Spain's Aliona Bolsova 6-2, 6-1. In other news, England's men's and women's national teams have been paid equally for representing their country in international matches since earlier this year, BBC reported, citing the Football Association. The announcement came after Brazil said they would pay their men and women players the same amount for earning a senior cap. Australia, Norway and New Zealand have also committed to equal pay. An FA statement said that partially in terms of match fees and match bonuses had been in place since January 2020. It means players representing Phil Neville's women's team will each receive the same match fees as those turning out for Gareth Southgate's men's stride when playing international games. Equal pay has been a hot topic in football, with women's world champions the United States having filed an appeal against the decision to dismiss the claim for equal pay with their male counterparts. We are at the end of Janata Bulletin, and the headlines once again. NCP nominates Bamdev Gautam as Upper House member. Incumbent Finance Minister likely to be axed. Chariot procession in Lalitpur turns violent. District administration clamps curfew from today. CCMC directs government authorities to ease restriction, tells district administration officers to facilitate day-to-day activities. Trump suggests residents of North Carolina to vote twice, causes uproar for promoting an illegal act. And a two-time Grand Slam champion Muguruza knocked out of the US Open. Christia fights back to beat Konta at Flushing Meadows. And that's all from the English News Desk for today. You can follow Janata Television and our programs on various social media platforms, including on our website janatasamachar.com. We urge all our viewers to follow government directives of the lockdown and follow healthy, hygienic practices to keep safe from any infection. Keep washing your hands, keep watching Janata Television. Namaste.